Someone said the average millennial is 36 years old and has nothing to their name, and they're living basically paycheck to paycheck with roommates in their 30s, not married, no kids because they can't afford it. And in fact, what they do have is a bunch of debt. So their future self already knows that they're going to be broke, they're going to be poor. So we're
Welcome to Pegasus versus the World, where we take on challenges, comedy, trending topics, and some travel.
City boy! City boy!
All right, millennials, rise. How can you level up if you can't even get more slash better than what your parents had? Adaptation. Got to innovate, got to adapt, got to pivot. That's the truth. I'm not, we'll talk about it, right? Where my millennials at? Tap it in the comments. I figured out I'm Gen X. I was born in 1980. So I think I'm like right on the cusp of I could have been a millennial. Like I think 86. I don't know, but I'm pretty sure I'm Gen X. And I didn't know that until these last couple of reactions. Anyways, millennials, Gen Z, Gen X, everyone has something to say. The baby boomers had the best gen to get that money, allegedly. But I think it's nuance. I think it's complicated. I think people aren't disciplined. That's the honest to God truth. I don't think you don't have challenges and barriers to entry that people, in other generations didn't, but you also have advantages that other generations didn't. And what I'm starting to realize is from what I'm seeing personally with technology specifically, people aren't taking advantages of technology. There's a small sect of people use technology to connect and do social media. They're not really utilizing technology to their advantage to make money. And the way AI has opened up, and the thing is, a lot of people in America have the advantages first because I think there's some type of, I have a friend in India and they don't have access to AI till months after we do. I believe there's some type of laws in the UK where it's very similar. They roll out the AI. So in America and China, you already have advantages with the technology that's here. So there's a lot of different things, but let's get into it. Let's see what these people are talking about. I'm not knocking it. It's not easy. I'm not saying that, but I do think it's possible. Anyways, like, share, comment, subscribe. Link in the description of my other channels. This is Ajala Talks. So it's like a little underscore thing. And this is her TikTok. So if you want to go follow her, show some love. This is one of her big TikToks that are going somewhat viral. And let's talk about it. Boom, boom, boom. Let's bring it back. It's only 50 seconds.
Someone said the average millennial is 36 years old and has nothing to their name, and they're living basically paycheck to paycheck with roommates in their 30s, not married, no kids because they can't afford it. And in fact, what they do have is a bunch of debt. So their future self already knows that they're going to be broke, they're going to be poor. So we're essentially in a trap that we literally cannot get out of no matter how much we work, no matter how many jobs we have. A lot of people have a full-time job during the week and then Uber on the weekends just to make some extra money.
Hold on. First and foremost, I'm Gen X, and when I was in my 30s, I still don't own it. I own cars. I own some Bitcoin and gold. I'm 45 years old now. I don't own a house. I'm trying to get into real estate. It's not easy. It really isn't. But when I was in my 30s, it was the same. I didn't have any gold. There was no such thing as Bitcoin. I was in $40,000 debt because of the money I invested in my rap career and independent business as a indie hip hop artist, touring artist, international artist. So yeah, it's not easy for any. She's saying millennials, but I was in my 30s, and then when I hit 35, I started putting it together. All those years of investing in my rap career and stuff, I figured out I started throwing events. Events started working, and I started to get ahead, started to get out of debt. I did get married when I was 36. We had our first child, but it was a stillborn. And then, we had another stillborn, which is horrible. But eventually we had my daughter in 2018, and it lit a fire under and I was like, I have no options. I have to win. But to sit here, the one thing I'm going to can I be straight honest with you guys? I don't think this is every Gen Z or every millennial, every Gen X or every boomer, but I'm about to make a generalization. And I normally hate to do this, but from most of the Americans I meet, they have a lack of discipline. And the first initial thing you can see is with their figure. You know, most Americans, I think it's 50% are like obese, which that's not even just overweight, that's like actually fat. And then you have a population of people who are overweight, but just obesity. The first thing is, they have no discipline with their diet. Statistically, we're starting to see that people don't have any discipline with their spending. In America, we prioritize our entertainment, how we feel, all these different things. So you have people with these beautiful backgrounds. They're in their car, recording these videos for TikTok on electronic devices that are almost $2,000. And they're talking about how life is so hard. And the honest to God truth, I'm telling you, if you got 2 to 3 jobs, one of your jobs should be able to cover fundamentally your base, right? Your living expenses, your food, you have that, whatever it is, 40 hours a week, whatever you're doing. And if it can't, then you need to budget. You have to get some roommates. You got to move in with mom and dad, whatever it is. Your first job should cover your base. The second job or third job should start to be your savings investing, not your, oh, I'm going to go to a concert. Oh, I'm going to go out to eat. Oh, I'm going to go on this trip. Oh, I'm going to go on this cruise. The thing is, delayed gratification is so rare in American culture, right? These people are complaining because typically, not all, some people come from extreme poverty and have to work their way out the hard way. But most people are just complaining because they can't live the life that they see on social media. That's the honest to God truth. Oh, I'm struggling. Struggling is you can't go to a concert. You can't. No, 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 no. Struggling is living in a hut with no electricity or running water. Struggling is not being able to eat for a couple nights in a row and having to just focus on drinking. You have to fast and drink water. Struggling is having no, like pulling clothes out of the dumpster. That's struggling. So I do have empathy and compassion for these people, and things can change for anybody at any given time. I did not come from money, but there is a thing that I just not feel that I see every day in American culture. And I don't know if it's because we don't have exemplar or like examples or mentors. People who say, oh, I work hard, I do this, I do that. But, this is coming from someone who's worked construction, laid concrete, doing day labor, telemarketing, worked at a furniture store, did landscaping, painted houses. You name it, I pretty much did. I just haven't served. I was never a server. That's what's kind of interesting. I have a personality that probably would have done well serving, if I'm being honest. But anyway, I feel the pain. I felt the pain. I lived through it and I made it through. And I just don't know where people are going to getting on the internet. I don't know. Maybe it's just the videos I'm finding. We'll look for some where people are being positive or giving some real good game about. I bet those videos don't get that much views, though. That's what's an interesting take here. Anyways, let's hear her out.
During the week and then Uber on the weekends just to make some extra money. That in itself sets you up for depression. I mean, think about working and having nothing to show for it. No savings, no investments, no house, nothing. Then you have their parents, the baby boomers, who are essentially the richest generation ever, who were able to support a family on one income, educated, have a house, savings, retirement. So where's this American dream that we've heard of? It's now turned into the baby boomer dream because you can't even get better than what your parents had.
So, I have a friend from India who, helps me out with some graphic design here and there. Um, and he was watching one of my videos. And this what gave me the confidence to keep saying what I'm saying because he actually agreed with me. He was like, those videos you watch are crazy. He's like, I'm out here in India. And he's like, bro, I do all these different odd jobs. I'm the only one who makes money in my family. I'm going to college. Like he's literally doing all this stuff. He doesn't even sleep a lot of the times. And me and him talk back and forth. And I was thinking about all the work he's doing just to, like, I remember he hit me up and he was just, saying, I forgot something happened because he doesn't have air conditioning. And I was just like, bro, like, you know, people in America take things for granted for real. You know, she's sitting there in what looks to be a nice ass apartment. And the American dream is just, it was the house and the picket fence. Facts. We were all sold that. We all want, I still kind of want that. It might not be the best thing for me now, though, But the concept of the American dream is still a place where you can sit down and do what she just said in that type of environment. Bruh, I just wonder if the people who make these videos have ever traveled. That's my question. Have you traveled to even all over the country of America? You know, but have you been to Mexico? Have you been to Panama? You've been to Colombia, Brazil. Like, bruh, they're tripping, man. There are barriers to entry. I have no problem with you getting on the internet ranting about the barriers and challenges you face. But I personally think it's great to say, hey, I had all these challenges and this is how I overcame that challenge. I think that serves you and your viewer way more. And it is not easy. But I'll tell you this, there were all these challenges I had trying to make it in the music industry as a rap artist. When I was coming up, it was so hard to get a beat because you actually had to know a producer, someone who could actually work a drum machine and a beat machine. Now you can just get online and go to a website and listen to like millions of beats. And if I'm exaggerating, hundreds of thousands of beats for real. You can record at your crib. It's just so unique what technology has done, but it's still not enough. And I just think for Americans, if I just gave a blanket statement, which a blanket statement isn't going to work for everyone, but it would work for a lot of people. And it would just be freaking discipline, diligence, consistency. These things, the most simple things that people just diligence, discipline, consistency. If you're working 3 jobs or 2 jobs and you make sure your budget is right and you can stack a little bread, I don't know. People say I'm tripping. You don't really know what's going on out there. I mean, I was working in the workforce when minimum wage was $5.15 an hour in 1998. So that's what I was dealing with. While you guys, minimum wage is typically, I think, like $11 to $15 an hour. So I know inflation is probably still the same, but it does seem like, it still seems pretty damn good. I don't know, man. I know it's rough. I know working isn't easy, but that's the thing. I think we lost our way when she's talking about I worked just to get by and now I'm depressed because I don't have a future. I would argue that, we have so much in America that people lose sight on what is really a blessing and what's really not. And, getting depressed, like there's people who can't find work, Like you go to Mexico, you see the people trying to sell maps and chicles and little blankets on the corner of the street. You know why they're doing that? Because they can't get a job and they're poor and they have nothing. So I understand where they're coming from, but I think the mindset is everything. I really do. I really do. And if you just talk to a lot of Americans in general, I hate to blanket slate it. I'm talking about America because that's where I live. People are not disciplined at all. People really aren't disciplined. There are some, and they rise to the top very quickly in sports, in economics, in business, whatever you may call it. The disciplined people typically get there. Even sometimes disciplined people will get there faster than the smart people. It's because they just so I don't know. Y'all tap in. Let me know. Do millennials have it that bad, or are we just in a place of a little bit of entitlement? I never look at what other people got. I don't care what the baby boomers got. I don't care what the rich billionaires have. I don't care what, I just stay focused, laser beam focus on what I'm creating and building. That's it. That's it. You know, I remember being young, being mad at the millionaires and billionaires, like, oh, they, I'd always think that they were got a silver spoon and they were a trust fund kid. When America is one of the biggest places that creates the most millionaires that came from nothing. So I don't know. I think we get the vision skewed. Y'all let me know, man. I'm kind of rambling on this one. And hopefully, I don't know. I've worked a really long time in my life. I'd like to retire early, I'm 45. The work I do isn't super physically demanding, but it's very mentally taxing and draining. Um, but I've worked physical jobs my whole damn life, and I understand how it feels. But I've also had a little glimpse of hope. Like I always was like, have my eye on the prize. Like, yeah, we gonna get it. We gonna get it. Even when shit hit the fan, man. Blood, sweat, and tears for real. A lot of tears on this. The trail of tears, man. Trying to make things happen. But I'm curious to see what you guys think in the comments. Let me know what's up with you. Um, am I being too hard on this generation? I mean, it's really close to mine. I think we're 10-year, 5-year difference. They say Gen X is the bastard generation they forgot about.
City boy, city boy.